Ruby Doppler knives are some of the most expensive cosmetic items in all of gaming. It's not unusual for some of these knives to cost the same as an economic car. They are insanely rare, but have an incredibly clean look that most CS fans absolutely adore. Today I wanted to put all the Ruby knives in one video so you can see their animation and look in game. I also am going to go over their pricing, just to give you an idea of how expensive these bad boys can get. All M9 bayonet knives are adored by most skin collectors. It is one of the most sought after knives, and the Ruby is absolutely no exception. This was added in the original Chroma case, and ever since its introduction, people have gone nuts for this thing. I will say the M9 already has a clean animation, but the red Ruby look really does look incredible, especially in the Source 2 engine. The blade is huge, which really allows the new texture to stand out and look great. The biggest downside to this skin is the fact it costs an arm and a leg. A factory new Ruby M9 will cost you about $13,000 as of today. Minimal wear is a bit cheaper at around $7,000, but there is no cheap way to end up with a Ruby M9. The falchion knife really doesn't get as much love as it should in my opinion. I know the animation isn't really anyone's favorite, but these knives look great for how cheap they are. The Doppler ones are especially great because the pattern covers pretty much the entire knife. I mean, look at how sick this Ruby falchion looks in this gameplay. The rare animation is pretty cool, and I feel like they have to have tweaked something to make it occur more often. These were added in the Spectrum collection, so they're not the original Doppler set, but that makes them quite a bit cheaper in actuality. A factory new Ruby falchion will set you back about $1.1 thousand, while minimal wear is going for just under $1,000. The bayonet is always going to have a special place in the community's heart because it was one of the original knives added as a cosmetic to Counter-Strike. The Doppler pattern has been in the game since the addition of the Chroma case back in 2015, and ever since people discovered the Ruby Doppler, it has been one of the most popular skins in the game. This one doesn't cost as much as an M9 bayonet or butterfly knife, but it certainly is more expensive than the less popular Ruby knives. A factory new one will cost you about $3,600 today, while the minimal wear version is actually slightly more expensive with the current cheapest listing at $4,000. This is a very beautiful knife, and as far as OG Dopplers go, would probably be your best bang for your buck. The Bowie knife is another very underrated knife in my opinion. It has an absolutely massive blade that complements most skins, especially ones like the Doppler. I also think the animation is pretty solid. I know any knife added later in the CSGO lifecycle doesn't have the most popular support, but these knives are really not bad in my opinion. The Ruby looks incredible, especially when you inspect the knife. All the veins and changes in texture really pop. These do cost a bit more than the falchion knife, despite also being added in the Spectrum case, and one of these factory new goes for about $1,500. Minimal wear tends to sit around the $1,000 mark, but this is a beautiful knife. The butterfly knife doesn't need much of an introduction. It is by far the most sought after knife in all of CS2. The animation is a classic, and plenty of other shooters have copied its style to sell their own skins. The Ruby Doppler is especially clean, but honestly the animations on this thing could make a battle-scarred Safari Mesh look good. This wasn't an original Doppler knife, and was added with the Spectrum collection as well. The thing about this is that it tends to cost more than some cars do. A factory new Ruby Butterfly currently fetches about $13,000 on the open market. While minimal wear sits around the $9,000 mark, there was a time you could get these things for just over $1,000, and those days are long gone. The flip knife Ruby looks like some type of enchanted dragon claw in my opinion. It is a small blade, but it really does showcase the updated Doppler patterns incredibly well. The animation is pretty simple, but I know it's a cult classic with people, especially if you like to op. I remember watching plenty of KennyS clips with one of these equipped. This was added with the original Chroma case, which makes it an original Doppler, and they certainly are priced like that as well. Factory new is hovering around the $3,000 mark, while minimal wear sits at about $2,500 respectively. I do think this is a super clean knife, but for that price you might as well grab a bayonet. I will always be a strong defender of the gut knife. I know this skin gets a lot of crap, but I really don't get why. The animation is super clean, and it has a huge blade that looks great, especially in a Doppler pattern of any type. The Ruby is no exception, and really does make the gut knife look like a shining star. This has been in the game since the original Chroma case, but for some reason it hasn't skyrocketed in price like the other original Dopplers. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact people associate the gut knife with being cheap, but but it does look incredible. A factory new version costs just $700, which is expensive, but not compared to other Ruby knives. A minimal wear one costs around $550, which is an even better deal. The Huntsman Ruby Doppler looks incredible clean on the server. The red looks great with this knife, and the spin animation really makes it pop every time you pull it out. This was added with the Spectrum collection, which added quite a few more Doppler knives into the game than there was previously. The Huntsman Ruby is a bit more expensive than the bottom level CS knives, but it isn't anywhere near as expensive as a Butterfly would be. The current cost for these in factory new condition is $1,500, while the rare minimal wear version goes for about $2,500. Any karambit is always going to be one of the most sought after version of whatever knife skin you are talking about, and the Ruby Doppler is absolutely no exception. This has been in the game since 2015 with the addition of the chroma case, and has become a favorite of both pro players and collectors. The animation looks great, and the Ruby pattern really makes the karambit look like you just went absolutely ham on the enemy team. The downside of these is the price, just like most karambit knives. In order to purchase a factory new Ruby, you are looking at an investment of nearly $10,000, while minimal wear hovers around the $7,000 mark. The Navaja knife is one of the cheapest knives in any skin because of its subpar animation and small blade. I do think the Ruby Doppler does look pretty solid on this knife compared to other skins, but I think the overall vibe of the Navaja knife leaves a lot to be desired. I know these are incredibly rare items and it would be cool to see one in game, but the knife just doesn't have a wow factor like others do. These were added in the Prisma case, and it is one of the cheapest Ruby knives you can pick up, with both wares floating between the $500 and $600 mark. The Shadow Daggers Ruby are absolutely gorgeous in game. I do think these knives get way too much crap considering how good a lot of skins look on them. The animation is solid, and ever since they fixed that weird twitch bug, I think these knives haven't gotten the credit they deserve. The Doppler version was added with the Spectrum cases, and a factory new version will cost you just under $600 at this time. The minimal wear ones are going for about $431, and it makes it one of the cheapest rubies in the game. I think the daggers are a lot cleaner than the Navaja knife, so you'd think they'd cost a ton more. The stiletto is a knife that has been quickly gaining in popularity the last few years. It has a pretty unique look, and the rare animation is incredibly clean. The Ruby especially looks great, but my one complaint is that the blade really isn't big enough to show off the next Doppler textures the same way the other knives do. It was added with the Prisma cases, and is actually one of the more valuable knives from that set. A factory new Ruby stiletto will set you back about $3,500, but minimal wear is about $1,000 cheaper. I think this skin will continue to go up as it gains in popularity even more. The Talon knife is a personal favorite of mine, with a sick animation and nice blade that is comparable to the karambit. I think the white handle on the Talon really helps the Doppler patterns pop, and with the Ruby it looks incredible. These are definitely one of the most popular of the new knives, so it has a cost associated with it due to its demand. It was added in the Prisma case and has steadily risen in price as it becomes more rare to be unboxed. A factory new version costs just under $5,000, while minimal wear currently has a listing for $4,300 by comparison. I do love this knife, but for that price there are better options. The Ursus knife has to be my personal favorite knife in the game. I know not a lot of people love the box cutter, but I think its animations are sweet, including its rare inspect, and the Ruby pattern looks awesome with the Ursus handle in my opinion. This was added with the Prisma case like a lot of the newer Doppler knives, and it will cost you about $1,800 to get yourself a factory new Ruby. A minimal wear one is actually a bit more expensive at around the $2,300 mark, but overall this is a sick skin at a not terrible price point considering its rarity. Those are all the Ruby Doppler knives currently in CS2. They are some of the most expensive items in the game, and I really don't see them coming down unless the game magically dies. If you like CS skin videos like this, then you should consider subscribing, because we are posting a showcase of every skin in the game, alongside more videos about sticker crafts and rare items. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.